Right, hello everyone. My name's Colin. I have the foolish ambition of trying to get through 2 projects in 10 minutes right after lunch. So hopefully this will wake you all up. The first project is what we call Project Karya. Karya means work in Hindi. And the goal of Project Karya is to provide dignified digital labor. I think most of you in the audience probably know about this notion of crowdsourcing. So the basic idea behind crowdsourcing is that we're going to take a large-scale digital task, preferably digital tasks that are hard for computers to automate, and we're going to chop this task into millions of little pieces, what we call micro work. Then we're going to give this micro work to humans, to people, to accomplish, and then we're going to collect the results at the end. That's the basic idea. Now, what's unique about Project Karya is the demographic of workers that we're targeting. So the typical crowdsourcing worker today is college-educated, feels relatively comfortable with spoken and written English, and often has access to a laptop or a desktop computer. Now, the population that we're targeting here are rural Indians, typically low-income people who may not have any of those 3 traits that I mentioned. So our goal with Project Karya is to provide employment opportunities for these people. And as much as that, we're also trying to help them build a set of digital skills, IT skills, for example, so that they can build a resume over time and hopefully get a job of their own once they're done with our project. And all the while, of course, we're trying to accomplish useful tasks and collect useful data. So you can think of Project Karya as much as a social welfare program as it is a crowdsourcing platform. In fact, in the long term, we're hoping to partner with the Indian government to help scale this up as a social welfare program. The technology we have here we have a server that takes in some task like a pile of handwritten forms and then chops that task into individual pieces of microwork like pictures of individual words in that form. And then hands it out to an Android application that workers can use to accomplish those tasks, gain skills, earn money, etc. And then we collect all of the results at the end. The range of tasks that we're targeting is fairly broad. We're looking at image classification, form digitization, translation, even tasks like geotagging, so going out with your phone and taking pictures of things, or even taking sensor measurements, maybe taking soil measurements in rural areas. We've been working in earnest on this project for about 6 months. There's a beautiful photo of rural Maharashtra that Manu Chopra took. Manu is kind of leading this project. So far, we've done 1 initial user study in partnership with IIT Bombay. And we're dealing with a Adivasi community in rural Maharashtra, like I mentioned. Most of the users here actually, they have never actually used a smartphone before. So the task that we gave them was actually fairly straightforward, which is on the smartphone, use a Marathi keyboard to enter their name. And the results were pretty promising. There's a nice picture. You can see our first user of Project Karya. So there's a lot of things that we've learned in the last 6 months, both in talking to government agencies and doing these user studies. I'm just going to focus on one of the challenges that we've encountered, which is a very basic problem. These people do not make very much money. They cannot afford very much cellular data. So even if there are NGOs or public service announcers or even for-profit content providers that want to give content for free to these people, they can't do so because the users have to pay for the data. They can't afford the data to download it in the first place. So that brings me to my next set of slides. Right, the next project we call People-Powered Data Networking, bulk data networking. There have been a lot of project proposals in the past for how to get internet to the rest of the world. SpaceX is thinking about low Earth orbit satellites. Facebook is thinking about these big drones. Google is thinking about these balloons. And what most of these projects don't really understand is how people already make use of the internet today in a place like rural Bihar. What these companies like Google and Facebook are not realizing is that people have already figured out how to get their hands on internet content, even if they can't afford the internet access. Namely, there are these apps that people use to transfer files between phones. So one of the phones turns on a hotspot, the other phone connects to the hotspot, you can transfer files at very fast rates. Okay? So this is really popular. This is actually all over the world, not just India. One of the most popular of these apps is called Share It. They claim to have 200 million users in India alone. So this is a massive thing. And before that, before smartphones, there was, of course, Bluetooth. People have been doing this for a long time. Now, the way that this is done today is, unfortunately, still quite limited. It's quite ad hoc. And one of the biggest limitations is that I typically only share with people that I know. So I have to go and talk to you and say, do you have this movie that I want? I have this file. Should we share? I can't share with people like you in this room. We're within Wi-Fi range. We could be transferring files right now, but I don't have any content discovery mechanism. So the basic research question we're asking here is, if we provide some services like content discovery, can we change people's behavior? Can we enable people to start sharing between people who have never met each other? Let's start sharing in this room because we have files that other people want. So what we have is pretty straightforward. We just have some cloud service that runs, say, in a South Indian data center. And a content provider, like, I don't know, some NGO, has some video that they want to distribute to people. They give us a copy of that file, and we extract some metadata from that file. And then we run an Android app on people's smartphones. And this Android app automatically detects if I have some of the files that the content providers have given us, without actually having to download over cellular data. It's just using metadata, like a hash of the content. And the other thing this app does is it automatically detects if I'm within Wi-Fi range, about 80 meters, of someone else who has a file that I want, or vice versa. It will automatically turn on the Wi-Fi and automatically perform that transfer. Now, one other cool feature is that if the NGO or the content provider wants to incentivize people to spread this kind of in a viral way, they might even be willing to give money. I'm not going to be able to draw a rupee symbol. Excuse me, I'll draw a dollar sign instead. So if they want to incentivize someone to spread this virally, the person who has the content that's spreading it to the other person, they will receive a mobile top-up. This is like a form of cellular data, basically. So the idea here is that we can make this spread virally by having them take the effort to go walk to the next village and earn some mobile top-ups by giving it to other people. Okay? Now, from the user's perspective, this is great. I'm getting content showing up on my phone for free. I don't even have to touch the phone. And even I might be able to earn mobile top-ups just by simply running an app on my phone. This is a really big value proposition for people in rural India. And from the content provider's perspective, I think this is what's perhaps most exciting. They have a way of reaching a population which they didn't have a way to reach before. And another nice advantage is they can track how many times is this file being watched, how many times is it being transferred. And this enables opportunities like advertising, which is important for someone like an NGO. And then the last opportunity, like I mentioned, is if they're willing to put in a little bit of money for mobile top-ups, they can cause viral spread of some of this content that they want to distribute. So that's actually all I was going to say. I'm really excited for the panel discussion at the end. Thank you very much.